welcome to the podcast, Sindhu. I have uh, been looking forward to this conversation. I want to get into all things AI. I was wondering if maybe you could do a brief introduction of yourself and the firm that you founded.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm excited to be here. My name is Sindhu Joseph. I'm the CEO and founder at CogniCor. My background is in AI. I spent probably around 15, 20 years building AI solutions. I have a PhD in artificial intelligence and also have invented several patents in machine learning and natural language, and all of those before the LLMs came out. I'm passionate about this field. I have been in this for a long time and very excited to see what is happening in this industry and how this is reshaping not just industries, but also the society as such. I founded a firm 5 years back called CogniCor. CogniCor is a copilot, not the Microsoft Copilot. It's a copilot specifically designed for the wealth industry, for financial advisors. But the co-pilot essentially is a driver, kind of a companion for financial advisors to prioritize their the client base, or prioritize whom I should interact with today, and what are the needs that my client households have. And once I identify these needs, providing operational efficiency, reducing administrative burden, but also scaling personalized advice. So these are some of the key things the Copilot does. So it is a industry specific Copilot that is built for wealth managers with the aim of democratizing the access to wealth.
And it's interesting this co-pilot concept, how you're trying to amplify the advisor. Obviously, there's a lot of advisors are struggling in terms of there's not enough talent coming into the industry. Advisors are starting to age out. You start to have this giant wealth transfer that's happening at the same time. So it's timely for that type of solution to help amplify their capabilities. Before we get into various dimensions of AI, could you just talk to me a little bit about your founder's journey? I'm always fascinated by talking to founders about why did you start the business? What was the gap that you saw in the marketplace, and what have been some of the learnings and kind of struggles along the way?
Yeah, so there's like a couple of motivations why I started CogniCor. One is, of course, given my AI background, I was very, very motivated to kind of revolutionize industries, and I have seen what is the potential of how AI can make that change. So I was absolutely clear that this is something that I want to do, but specifically wealth management, specifically financial services. That was the primary motivation to make those changes in that industry. And you need to go back a little bit into my history to understand why, what is the motivation there. So I was born and brought up in India, traveled across Europe for around 10 plus years before moving to the US. So I lived in 3 continents, interacted with a multitude of people and different sections of society. So early on, what I kind of saw is, especially in India, you could see that very pronounced at that time when I was growing up, is the wealth disparity. Like the people in the one section of the community is absolutely poor, and there is a smaller section that is very rich. And when I traveled in Europe and now based in San Francisco and Palo Alto, I thought those differences would kind of disappear. But it has only become more pronounced in the years that is recent. So I was really motivated to kind of see why this change, and why this disparity exists, and how can we bring more people into that comfortable place. So one of the things that I understood was people work really hard to make money, and this is especially true in the US. So it is not their lack of working. So they all know how to make money. The difference between the wealthy and the poor is the majority of the population doesn't know how to put money to work for them. If we have, and wealth managers, financial advisors are the instrument to kind of, putting money to work for people. And when I looked at financial advisors, they only address high net worth individuals, households, section of the population, as well as affluent and mass affluent, not even mass affluent. How can we kind of lower the barrier of entry, and cover more sections of the society, from a 30% to 50% to 70 to 90%. So that is really my motivation. How can we bring everybody to this wealth creation, where everybody can be part of that wealth creation exercise and actually democratize the access to wealth? So that's really my fundamental motivation. I would love to see a society that is more equalized in terms of the opportunity to create wealth. We give opportunity to work and create money, but we don't give the opportunity to create wealth. So that was absolutely my motivation. I'm not claiming that CogniCor will solve all of this, but I think if there is one technology that can solve, it's AI. And AI can really take majority of the work from financial advisors and package that human AI collaboration into a great scalable capability.
Which is an interesting concept. I mean, certainly, I think financial advisors, it's a noble profession. I think it's extremely important profession. You do see the level of financial advice does seem to be sequestered to ultra high net worth, and if firms struggle, especially the independent channel, to be able to service more mass affluent, even just younger next gen that maybe hasn't accumulated the wealth yet, that may end up being on that trajectory, but they don't have the assets at the early stage of their career to be able to qualify for whatever cutoffs these advisors have. So I think that's great if they can lower those minimums, get a wider swath of the population, be able to get access to the next generation younger, so they're able to make better decisions before they have wealth, to be able to put them on a quicker trajectory. I think those are all.
And I think it is also, great ROIs. The main argument is it doesn't make ROI. With AI, it can really make the ROI sense. So there is around $12 trillion left on the table that nobody is touching from a financial advisory perspective. You can really make that difference and make the ROI sense absolutely with AI. So that is as you said, the one of the key population that I want financial advisors to address is the younger generation, the college going kids who has no clue. They really want to kind of start that financial discipline, but they have no clue where to start, how to start. And they often go into online, forums where they can, invest in, starting from gambling to everything.
Gaming stocks,
and lose
gambling.
Yeah, and they end up losing everything. So I really want to make a change in that space.
What makes CogniCor unique?
So for that, you need to understand a bit the wealth industry as such. If you look at the past 10, 20 years of development, and the tech stack that is built in the wealth industry is kind of very extremely fragmented. So for a financial advisor, for an end user, or any other stakeholder in the industry, it is extremely hard for them to kind of deliver service that is enabled by technology. They are, motivated people, individuals who wants to help their clients, but to be able to do that in a seamless way is extremely difficult today. And that's because of the tech fragmentation. So they need to start looking at least 10 different platforms to get a unified view of the client. This is starting from their CRM, where their client data is stored, to their planning system, their portfolio systems, their custodian platforms, and whatnot, their estate plan, this is just the cream of the platforms. And if you go one down below, there is a number of other platforms as well. So that is the state of the industry. Now, AI tools can create insights and intelligence that can help advisors. But the way in which these tools are coming out in the market, like I'm sure one of the most popular use case for AI is a note taker. So you have an AI note taker for financial advisors. You have an AI scheduler. You have an AI onboarding solution. So all of this are again fragmentation, next layer of AI fragmentation that we are introducing into the market. I believe instead of let's look back after 10, 20 years into the future, we would see two layers of fragmentation now the advisors have to deal with. It is instead of AI solving problems, AI would be introducing problems there. So CogniCor thinks that AI is capable of much more and can actually solve the existing fragmentation and not introduce new AI fragmentation. So that is why it is different. So CogniCor wants to be the intelligence layer, or the insights layer, which sits between the data records layer and the engagement layer, and collect all of these different sources together in a real-time basis, not as you are not building a huge data lake or a data warehouse project where we are bringing all of the data together. But today, there are tools exist in the market that allows us to both read structured, unstructured, semi-structured, everything in between. So you can actually connect these different sources together, bring the data together into one single intelligence layer, where you are providing a holistic insights and recommendations, highlighting opportunities, highlighting risks, and helping advisors to take action. So all of this can happen in a single intelligence layer. So CogniCor is the only solution in the market that provides this intelligence layer that creates that end-to-end experience for the financial advisors.
So this intelligence layer goes over the top of all these applications. I guess these advisors build a best of breed tech stack. They got a CRM to your, multiple custodians, a portfolio accounting system, a financial planning system, note taking. Yeah, obviously that seems to be an early stage adoption where there's specific.
I think the note takers are such, if they are a point solution, it is hard for them to survive, and it should be the case because
Yeah,
it's like having. Imagine you have a traditional office and you're hiring an assistant. You wouldn't hire an assistant, one for bringing your coffee, another one for bringing your printed copies, or another one for booking your tickets. You would hire one assistant who can do all of this, maybe interface with different people, but get all of these done. Why you want that single person? Not just because you don't you don't want to pay 10 different people, but also because this person needs to know the holistic view of you. Like what are
yeah.
your preferences? How do you like to travel? When do you like to meet people? How do you want to take notes? All of this single person has the view of that. So that intelligence layer, that copilot, is actually being that single assistant who has that holistic view, not only of the household, of the advisor preferences, and then interfaces with different applications, different planning, custodian, portfolio solutions, rebalancing, all of those solutions to get things done in a proactive, personalized manner. So I think that should be the approach the industry should be taking.
Okay, so you have some basically an assistant that works with all the different departments versus having an assistant that works with just one department and having to hire 10 assistants. Talk to me about the relationship between AI and data. Obviously, having good data, quality data is key to being able to get the results that you want from AI. But talk to me a little bit about that relationship.
So I would, start by highlighting that it's a AI and data is ultimately there is no separation of these two things. Like it is one directly influences the other, and also the reverse. There was a much more codependency, or the lack of data was a huge impediment in terms of deploying AI solutions in the past. There is a changed relationship between AI and data today. And that's because AI has progressed a lot in the past few years. So first of all, previously, we needed to have good, clean data to be able to run AI algorithms. Today, the available range and where AI can look has hugely expanded. So, for example, let's say you had a client conversation where you talked about different things, your dreams, your goals in the next 10 years. You also talked about your family members, your pet, your fears, everything in that 1 2 hour conversation with the financial advisor. Financial advisors, as they are diligent, they can also be careless. They probably didn't put the notes anywhere in, so that conversation was lost, except for the transcript or recording that was there. So if that is the case, AI can actually go and look into those transcripts, look into those recordings, and bring back all of the information that was discussed in that meeting. So accurate data is important, but it doesn't need to be stored in places that we expected previously. So it doesn't need to be like the family member information need not be added to a CRM. It could be stored somewhere as a recording or as a transcript or as a document anywhere. So that's one relationship change that because of the AI advancement that has happened. The second is the ability for AI to generate new data. And the prime example is the note taking. So previously, one of the main things that AI was not adopted for recommendations for insights was my financial advisors don't take good notes and I don't have good data. Now AI is
They
going
don't
to
take good notes and they don't put it in the system for sure.
yeah. So AI is going to do that for them
Yeah.
and capture all of these notes, and it will, summarize it properly. It will put it there. The ability for AI to generate that data, capture those interaction moments, and be able to do that. And likewise in every other steps, if it's a plan, you can actually go into that plan, read that plan, understand the probability of success when it is changed, or let's say the household is spending a lot more in the past few months. So immediately we can go into portfolio systems and understand this new pattern, and then alert that you are spending more, you're not contributing enough to the plan that we have put together. Now the probability of success suddenly changed from 95 to 83. So that means there is an action that needs to be taken based on that. So those kinds of things, AI can go proactively and update that plans. I think there is a lot more interconnectivity there that allows. While data, good data, accurate data is still the crux of every insights and every recommendation, every actions that needs to be done, AI has a much more pronounced role in creating this data and taking advantage of data that is sitting in places that was previously unknown or are not accessible to the AI platforms.
How do you guard against AI creating, the hallucinogenic data, that making stuff up or crossing references or whatnot?
Yeah, I think there is a risk there, um, especially in the broader domain. When you open up for your AI platform to like a Chat GPT kind of environment,
Yeah.
it's an open domain. You can pretty much ask any questions. You are not giving a reference point where you need to have the information from. AI can absolutely hallucinate. But we are talking about a wealth industry where if um, I'm not so much talking about training LLM models, because I think LLM models have their own cycles of training, releasing new models, and that is taken up by a few of the large tech firms in the industry. They are doing their job in terms of doing that. Our job mostly is, instead of looking to build an LLM model that is customized for the wealth industry, we do take the generic LLMs but then constrain that to only reason on the data that we provide. So absolutely, any platforms, including CogniCors, we make it a priority for our platform to, you give a recommendation, you take a note, and generate action items from there. Everything is traced back to the source. You can absolutely trace it back to a document, information that is discussed in a meeting, or information that is available in a plan document, and things like that. So traceability gives you a lot more confidence and trust in what are the insights that are provided by AI. I think that is an absolute characteristics that everybody should look into before they hire any AI solution. And I'm sure SEC will come out with those guidelines in terms of traceability. So with that, I think we can, eliminate a lot of hallucination from AI, because you are saying that, this is your data domain. This is the only thing you can use to derive any insights or any action that, you are proposing, instead of relying on your own, your own open intelligence.
With family offices and advisors that are looking to adopt AI, let's just talk about in general. What should they be thinking about in terms of creating an AI adoption policy? How can they create certain guardrails? What path would you recommend that these firms be able to, properly adopt AI and be able to experiment with AI without kind of putting their clients' data into, revealing personal private information into a broader public LLM?
Yeah. So two things. One is they need to be absolutely understanding of what are the user experience, what are the advisor experiences that they want to provide to their advisors, to their users. So I think everybody has to start from there, instead of starting with, oh, I need to adopt an AI solution. AI is just a tool. And I shouldn't be thinking from a tool standpoint. I should be thinking from this is what the experience that I want to deliver to my advisors, to my clients, and what will enable me to do that. So having that clarity will guide all of your decisions very, very clearly. So I think that's a starting point for every CIO, CTO, or CEO, or trying to roll out an AI solution for the wealth advisors. Second is today these tools are very, very available in the market. In the sense, ChatGPT is accessible to pretty much everyone. Especially the free version. So it's very tempting for clients as well as for advisors to put their clients' data to get a quick document prepared, for example, for to be sent to the client, or what recommendations should I give it to the client in this scenario. So copy all of the client data, put it into ChatGPT. It will spin out a number of recommendations. So that is amazing. So these things are tempting. It's out there, but also be mindful that this data will go into not only into the domain of ChatGPT, but also train ChatGPT algorithms. I think that's where we need to have that absolute guardrail policy in terms of making sure that they are not using these kind of platforms. There are options there, like if you take a paid version of ChatGPT and make sure that you are in the configurations, you can put in that your data should not be used anywhere. I think those are better configurations that you can do. I'm not sure what happens behind the scenes. I haven't looked at the contractual agreements that ChatGPT has, but at least those minimums you are required to do, obliged to do from a client perspective. Even beyond that, I think we need to look at where the client data resides, and if that is isolated from other client data. So that's the number one thing that we need to look at, how the data, these are basic SaaS hygiene that every other industry adopts as well. The second is particularly to AI is how my data is being used to improve the performance of the AI. I think while everybody claims that they are fine tuning and retraining the LLMs, there is no retraining happening in LLMs because LLMs are huge models that are trained by these large tech platforms, and that happens that are done by them. There is no training happening in individual application layer. There is fine tuning happening or prompt adaptation that is happening. So you can put in a lot of client intelligence to make the product work for you in a different way. So that's where you need to make sure there is contractual agreements in place where you have to, it is only anonymized client data that will be used to train these algorithms. And you can also put in place different parameters like I don't want my secret sauce to be trained by AI. So you can separate those out in terms of getting those information into AI. But there is a lot of benefits as an industry gets by AI understanding the nuances of the customer behavior and things like that in a broader landscape. And I think a client should be open to doing that, of course, with anonymized data, but that will give us, as an industry, a leap forward in terms of AI providing better intelligence and insights.
That talk to me a little bit about agentic AI and how that's embedded into your platform and the power that has for advisors.
So the funny story is, I did my PhD more than 10 years back in multi-agent systems, where we had multiple agents working together to take, to obey certain norms that are imposed by that agent society and take different actions. So it is a concept that has been in the academic space for a very, very long time. And because of my background in that space, our core system is built on a multi-agent framework before the agentic approach came into mainstream. I am a big believer in that. I think the best way of organizing an artificial intelligence system is using this agentic approach, because you can delegate. It mimics how humans work. It delegates tasks to separate agents who are specialized in doing certain tasks, or doing certain functions, and then they coordinate together. So I think it's a great framework to be used. So it also, like for example, like CogniCor's platform is organized with multiple agents that work together, such as like you have a planning agent, you have a portfolio agent, you have a custodial agent, you have agent that reads unstructured data. So all of these things come together to provide insights and intelligence and take actions. So the great thing about agents is you only need to provide a schema for them to operate. Like you can read an external system by looking at, okay, this is the schema of that particular system. So for all of the information that I need, I can actually rely on this particular system because the schema says that that information is available there. So that schema based approach is like very, very easy for agents to work with in terms of like deciding where do I go and look for information, where do I which agent would I call in terms of executing certain actions. Like if I have a workflow agent, I can actually know that this agent publishes that my capabilities are these. That's nothing but the schema. So using this, I can actually go and call this agent when a workflow needs to be executed, which could be an onboarding agent, which could be an account opening agent, or things like that. So everyone says, hey, this is what I can do. And then the orchestrator agent looks at the problem at hand, creates a thought process of how to solve this problem, and then realizes, yeah, I need to make use of the onboarding agent to get that onboarding work done, and delegates the work to that particular agent. So it is beautifully done. I think there is still nuances in getting the system to scale and all that, but we are very much in the right direction in terms of getting there and making sure that this kind of systems perform at the scale that we want.
I mean, the beauty of these agents is that they don't forget, right? That you're not going to have a meeting and then you got to forget to do one out of the 10 tasks. That those tasks are going to be either completed or you're going to be notified of some sort of issue with completing that task. So I think that's the beauty of it. I think in the
Unless
Wickersham household, I could use an agent to unload the dishwasher in the morning. I haven't found that yet.
uh,
It seems like
unless
that
they
fails every morning, but
unless they hallucinate. I think, recently I had a funny experience with ChatGPT. I was trying to get a video done, and I asked the ChatGPT to create a script for me. It created a beautiful script, and then I
yeah,
said, "You also, make these videos." I said, the ChatGPT said, "Absolutely, I'm going to, I can make this video for you. Give me all the artifacts," and I uploaded the artifacts, and then it said, it would take 2 to 5 business days, and I'll come back after that. So we negotiated a bit in terms of the timelines, and it kept me like, for me, it was a fun experiment to kind of understand what it would do. But then it had no capability to build that video from scratch, but it, kept giving me timelines and deadlines and, process that it is completing and all that. So it was, so unless the agent hallucinates, everything
yeah.
works.
Well, what is the next frontier? And also, let's talk about also decision making. It doesn't. It seems like obviously a human needs to be in the loop. Like decision making is not there yet. Where do you see the next evolution of AI? What's on the horizon that you've been working with that you see is out there that maybe we don't know about?
Yeah, I think decision making to certain extent it is there, but it is understanding nuances of the physical space, and taking that right decision in the social construct. For example, can we replace state or federal judge today as an AI? You can absolutely do that, but do you want to do that? No. For the foreseeable future, you don't want, for two reasons. One is you want somebody to be responsible for that decisions, to have that empathy playing into the space, and to have the social construct being taken into the account and things like that. So if you want to have an unemotional, purely based on data,
Experience. Yeah.
well, you can still, kind of rely on an AI agent. So I always believe that, humans are. I'll give you another example. Like, when I get emails or documents from my colleagues or others, which is obviously Chat GPT, you tend to kind of gloss over it. You tend to ignore it. Like, you don't read it. Whereas, like, if you write with your own like and imperfections, like it is a beauty to read, and you feel connected to that person. So I think one of the great characteristics of humans is the ability and our ability to err. So we have that capability of imperfection, and I think that beauty of and
Yeah.
I believe it is a instead of a flaw, it is an asset for humans. And so, if we can combine that asset with the excellence of AI, I think there is a collaboration that can last. So in terms of decision making, I think this is one of the human in the loop approaches, especially for our industries where regulation is one of the key facets that we need to look at. It's always a human in the loop approach that makes sense. Also because of the our human nuances that I described. I think the client interactions where the ability for us to empathize, the ability for us to provide that nuanced communication, I think all of that is very critical to sustain that relationship. So humans are great at some of the things, and we need to, elevate their greatness from that standpoint. That said, in the AI space, I think the agentic space, the agentic capability is what is going to kind of drive a lot more excitement in the future, which has not just the capability to extract and generate intelligence, but to do actions. We have, kind of dipped our toes into the action space, but I think there is a huge opportunity there in the future where actions can be done by agents. It has the last mile problem where, like, you need to have connectivity with the different systems. You need to kind of start to have a common interface for similar systems and so on. And the physical, capability when you are ordering a pizza, like, the pizza has to be delivered to the person's house at certain time. Like, do you can involve a human in the loop to alert this pizza to be delivered, or you can have a drone to get the pizza delivered, completely managed by an AI system. So, like, you have that future vision of that state that you can envision where AI is running a lot more of the day to day, where the human's role is, defined, but it is limited as well. So that's where I see AI is going. And there is a partnership that I'm not sure, it is not yet in the limelight, but I would like to see in the limelight between AI and blockchain, where you can create that trust, AI execution and trust of blockchain together. It will create amazing experiences that you can trust, because AI brings an inherent mistrust, block trust brings an inherent trust, and this partnership, I think, is if we can really create, I think that's an amazing experience.
In terms of AI and AI's impact on society, and then just obviously the negative effects of AI. Certainly, cybersecurity is one of them. But where do you see the potential for AI to go off the rails?
Where the question could be rephrased as where I don't see the potential. I think, as any technology that humans create, there is a bigger potential for it to create malware and create disruption, create negative use cases than, it is just our human will that will and the regulations will, help us stay the course. But both humans as well as AIs inherently can deviate to those paths. With that said, like, what I want to kind of highlight here is one of the key things that we will see in the next few decades is, while it will create a lot of jobs, and there will be a flurry of activity wherein these AI systems has to be deployed in a lot of the industries that we work today. Then, like, I see also a possibility of a massive job reduction in terms of, because of AI. They would take over some of our, what we have been, humans have been doing. Like, I kind of philosophize a bit around that, in the sense of, when we became, like, we were hunter gatherers in the beginning, and then industrial revolution happened, internet revolution happened, all that. We became a cog in the wheel. Like, we became workers who just wake up in the morning and do a repetitive task till the end of the day, and then go back and sleep. I don't think humans are meant to do that. We exist in this world with a much more holistic personality beyond our work association that we today give. I think as a society, we need to rethink in terms of what is humans' role. Like, how can
Yeah.
we live in a society that is redefined by AI? And what is the best way? Like, I think it's a huge liberation for us from that industrial revolution to eliminate, to remove us from that cog in the wheel approach. And then now we can, we are free to define what we want to do as a human being. How do we want to define our identity? Do we want to distance, or distance a bit from our, like, work identity? If when I introduce myself, I am primarily saying that, I'm a PhD in artificial intelligence and it's a CEO and founder of CogniCor, or like, do I have a broader definition of myself that includes much more, different aspects that I can be proud of and I can exercise more often. So I think AI gives us the broader society that a space to rethink, and governments, I think, to rethink what is our role and how we can best use of this, AI revolution. I'm not sure if we are doing enough of that. It is a great opportunity, and I think we should take it up.
Well, I think it's a good point. I think you look at the, how much of the population was tied to agriculture in the beginning. The U.S. is still one of the leading agricultural output nations in the world, but very few people work in agriculture. Manufacturing is somewhat the same way with robotics. Now you're starting to see, back office reconciliation, some of these jobs that accounting, which have been have been hard to staff and hard to retain talent there. That does that get those jobs get eliminated, or at least you need fewer of them, and those people that are doing it are using AI to be able to do those things. I do get worried with somewhat of the lack of regulation. I think if you looked at what happened with social media, I think social media is as much of a negative force in the world as it is a positive force in the world, and there's been a real lack of regulation around there, and you can see, especially in the U.S., there's a tendency that to do the same with AI. So I do have some concerns with that, but you can see the potential to unlock, what is the nature of work, and how does that affect me as a human being? And there is historical precedents that kind of look back on that as well.
Just
Go ahead.
regulation that we should look at. It is also like, as technologists, we get excited about the next incremental progress. Like, we think when social media came around, every incremental progress was, every incremental step was defined as a progress. And we often tend to kind of look at the near term incremental progress rather than looking at longer term, where is all this going. So we often ignore the impact on, like, people's lives because of this. And as since the Silicon Valley is driving all of this, it is very focused on technological advance, and everybody gets excited as technologists that we are making progress. And as long as we are making progress, we can make it faster and faster, and we get more and more excited about it. And that's the only aspect that we look at. But I think looking at the impact, not just through regulation, but people having a broader outlook of, how can I design these systems to make sure it has a positive impact on society